The next set of awards that we have to get to, we have the February 29th award, which is the Leap Award. This is an award that could go to a lot of different people. There are a lot of guys having some really great leap years, some most improved years. I wanted to get some love to some guys that I don't feel like I've seen thrown around too much in the MIP race or, Keyonte George. He is our overall winner. This guy is such an improved player. He's improved with his finishing. He has a career high in usage, career high in assist percentage, and a career low in turnover percentage. Offensively, has been one of the most exciting guards in all of the NBA. And again, I think he's one of those guys that is just a clear example of why we should be patient with our young prospects, why we shouldn't judge everybody so harshly for their rookie and sophomore seasons, and understand that growth isn't linear. It isn't NBA 2K. Everybody doesn't have to be so harsh if a guy isn't showing everything in the first couple of years. We are living in such a "what have you done for me lately" world that we forget that player progression is all over the place, and you just have to trust the process and give guys an opportunity to grow as players. And to be able to see Keontae George do everything that he's doing and the impact that he's having on his team, especially from an offensive level, it gives me hope that we can maybe, and myself included, maybe give a little bit more grace to these young guys because the NBA is the toughest, most competitive league in in the world, and it's not that easy to just make that transition from college to the pros so seamlessly. And so we got to give guys a little bit more grace. And I think the defensive side of the basketball for him and some of the others out there in Utah, they'll probably get better as they get more competitive and find themselves in so many more closer games. I honorable mention wanted to give some love to Brandon Miller. I talked about him um, before with the Hornets. He only played 27 games last year. He's already at 30, 31 games. Unfortunately, he had the shoulder injury where he had to miss about 17 or so games. But he has been shooting the ball extremely well. The scoring is seems back. It feels like he's learning how to maneuver with the shoulder brace and everything that he's wearing. The last 7 games, he is like shooting phenomenally, and I think some of those shooting trends will turn up a notch in the second half of the season because he had a stretch there early to mid December where he was kind of struggling as he returned back from his injury. And then last but not least, my guy Jalen Tyson out there with the Cavaliers. Wanted to give him love as an honorable mention as well. Shooting the ball insane. 46% from three on like 4.5 attempts. He's giving you 14, 5, and 2 a night. Feels like a really good bridge piece between the backcourt and the front court right there at the three. And I think he's going to give them some huge performances in the playoffs. Another award that we have, pay that man. Some of these guys that are around the league, not making that much of a bag, kind of on some discounted contracts that we feel like need some bigger bags, man. Ryan Rollins of the Milwaukee Bucks is one of my honorable mentions. I wanted to give him some love. He's been having an incredible year, a guy that's in the most improved conversations for that award. He's making 12 million over the next 3 years. So that's a $4 million contract that he has. And to me, that's as big of a bargain as you can get, especially when you talk about a Milwaukee Bucks team that doesn't have too much cap flexibility. That is going to be very, very big for them in one way or another. And depending on what happens with Giannis, if Giannis gets traded or whatever, that's going to be something that a lot of teams are going to call around the league for if he's able to play at this level. So shout out to Ryan Rollins, the winner of the Pay That Man Award. There's my guy Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall is giving the Dallas Mavericks 15, 5, and 3 off the bench, and he's only making $9.2 million per. He's 2-year contract, $18.4 million. A guy like him giving you this type of production. I mean, he's had games where he's won them the game. He's been the player of the game, the best player on the floor on some nights, and to have that for a guy that's making less than $10 million annually is a steal to me. He's a guy that I'm hoping that my New York Knicks are targeting at the trade deadline because I think his versatility, his dog, the way he can guard up and down the lineup will really be beneficial to a team like us. But the way he's playing, he might either A, be too expensive for the Knicks to acquire, or B, the Mavericks may say, why are we trading this guy? Why would we give him up? We need to keep him. So shout out to Najee Marshall, Dallas, whoever, when he hits the open market, pay that man. Deserve a lot more than what he's on right now. This next award is one that's my favorite because I think every team around the NBA needs this. You can't have a winning team without this. 90% of the NBA is this. Most valuable role player. NVRP, most valuable role player. And this year's most valuable role player for me has been Donte DiVincenzo. I think this year, Donte DiVincenzo, from an offensive standpoint, has been a lot closer to that next year than last year. Last year was still solid and good, but coming off of that next year, I know a lot of people in Minnesota and with the Timberwolves were kind of looking for that same spark and that same energy. But this year, I think he's giving you some of that. I think he's been the most ideal piece that you can have in the backcourt with Ant, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves all year, people have talked about who's going to be their point guard, what direction can they go to get a point guard. So they've had to really empower Ant as a full-time lead ball handler. And Donte DiVincenzo, I think, has been there enough to play off of Ant, but to also take some of that pressure off too occasionally. And it's given the Minnesota Timberwolves some time to really, view the market and figure out creative ways to go, that route and have that approach. He's also kind of, playing his best defense since his Milwaukee days. So I'm loving everything that Donte DiVincenzo is doing. But the reason I really am valuing Donte DiVincenzo is because I've seen firsthand as a Knicks fan what he can do in a playoff series. And I would not be surprised. I would probably bet my bottom dollar that Donte DiVincenzo this year for this Minnesota Timberwolves team is going to have a signature performance or a couple of big-time shots that Minnesota Timberwolves fans around the world is going to love and remember him for, because he is just that type of guy, always ready, always capable, extremely confident. And I'm seeing that this year, and I think it will spill over into the playoffs. And it fits perfectly for what they have. I like the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've struggled recently, but I think they're still going to be a team to buy into. And on that note, before I get to my honorable mention and some of my other awards, because we're on the Minnesota Timberwolves, I want to take some time out to send love to our Minnesota viewers and everybody in the Minnesota community, and send love to everybody a part of the NBA that's spoken out about the recent events and use their platform for good. I love being a part of the NBA and seeing them be socially aware. Shout out to Joe Ingles, Steve Kerr, Chris Finch, and everybody that, moved the game back to have that awareness. Our league is big. There's a lot of love and community, and the one thing we need to do is be there for each other. Everybody doesn't have to be, outspoken or, a superhero, but the support goes a long way. And it's easy to kind of dish things off when they don't affect you directly. But, to love our neighbors is what we sign up to do, especially here in America. And, I have love for everybody. And again, we support everybody. And I'm just proud to be a part of a league and a sport where we had Tyrese Halliburton, Karl-Anthony Towns, and, Breanna Stewart, Larry Nance. Steve Kerr has always been very vocal on a lot of different topics. And it's a place to be critical of players, coaches, and teams. But in this situation, we all come together as one for the bigger things at hand. And that is a lot of the things that's happening in America is bigger than the game that we play. And again, shout out to our communities and our league for being aware. And let's stand together, y'all, and have each other's back. Again, support goes way further than you know, and that's what it's all about. Honorable mentions for most valuable role player. Neemias Queta for the Boston Celtics. I think, again, just stepping up, right? That's a void that the Boston Celtics miss by losing Al Horford, losing Kristaps Porzingis, the front court interior play. He's been an offensive rebounding machine. He's given them a legit presence inside, 71% at the rim, 5.4 block percentage, was in the 93 percentile. And whatever direction they go, if they acquire a center in the offseason or at the deadline, even if he goes into a backup center role, you have something really good here. You do. And I think that has been something that hasn't getting enough attention. And then Reed Sheppard. I think Reed Sheppard, he's having a really good sophomore year, giving the Houston Rockets some added shooting, stepping up for them. Defensively, it's looking like the Reed Sheppard from Kentucky with all of the stocks and everything like that. So shout out to Reed Sheppard for making an honorable mention for that. And then the last award, man, this is an award I made on the fly. Like, this is the Fine Wine Award, kind of going back when we talked about with Jimmy Butler, not taking these older guys and the way that they're playing for granted. Kevin Durant is still consistently just this efficient scoring monster with incredible shot making displayed on every given night. He walked right into a lead scoring role for a young team and has delivered on a night in, night basis. So shout out to Kevin Durant and all of our other finalists for these awards.
Hit subscribe for more news, highlights, An analysis from the NBA on NBC.